Hey, what's going on? This is the weekend prep going into the week of November 24th. So it'll be Thanksgiving next week. So it'll be a short week. Markets are going to be closed on Thanksgiving, obviously. And I would expect some pretty low volume in the day, Black Friday following. So, it's one of those things where maybe it's a very short week and just trade the first 3 days. So first thing I'm looking at is just looking at the what the AIs are saying for sentiment, and so I'm looking at Grok here, and just kind of checking going into next week. It looks like a little bit bearish, and then for ES sentiment, neutral to bullish, which is interesting, and then sentiment is more bearish, continuation or correction for gold. And then when we look at Chat GPT, it still looks a little bit. Weak. It looks like on the NQs, looks like a little bit negative on the ES, a little bit bearish, and um, so this is saying hedge demand for gold. So maybe there's a little bit of upward momentum for GPT. So we'll see. I stopped using Claude just because I prefer the results from Grok and GPT, and so I'll just continue to use those. So the things that are going to come up for next week, we have a bunch of the PPI numbers and things. I think that's still coming out, so we'll just kind of see how that shakes out on the 20 on Tuesday. Monday should be pretty quiet. Then we get the consumer confidence, so that'll give us something, and then jobless claims, so that'll be good. And then I think we'll end with Chicago PMI, or I'm not sure if that's next week. So not too much. Did see this come through where Trump prepares a fallback, tariff fallback, which I'm not really sure what that's referring to. So we'll just kind of see how that kind of shakes out. So I think these the PPI numbers and jobless claims and all that could be a good catalyst for us. And I was looking at the earnings that would be coming next week. Nothing as far as the top kind of market cap. Maybe Zoom Communications interesting. SMTC could be interesting, but Baba, I guess that's something to pay attention to. Dell, I suppose, um, and nothing standing out for me here on Wednesday, Thursday. Is this true? I don't know if this is true. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Do we really have people having earnings on Thursday and Friday? It's really odd. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Nothing really stands out for me on this one though. And in doing kind of a quick look at price action for the indexes, they obviously all kind of followed each other. And in Q, we did have this crazy like 1,200 point sell off from high to low, which was pretty amazing. And then we have a nice rebound, but we did break below all of this like rare earth tariff stuff. So that for me is super interesting. And like this is kind of a line in the sand type of thing. Like if we could break back below that, or if we can hold above that. So we'll see. I mean, that is across the board. It's a bit more deeper on the break than it was on the ES, and so that's something to keep in mind. What's also interesting for me, so this happened October 10th, and so look at October 10th. So the Dow has not broken that, right? So the Dow is still holding up. Now, I think if the Dow breaks that, then problems around. And the Russell we broke it a long time ago. So for me, also watching this, I think there's chance for the overall market to kind of rebound itself if we can hold above this on the Dow. I think if the Dow breaks, then for me, it's like, well, they've all kind of gone lower than that flush down for all the tariff stuff. So for me, that's kind of that. There's probably people watching that. I'm definitely watching that. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. It could be, I guess if you wanted to play a short options like on the equivalent for Dow and the ETF, like that could be interesting. So yeah, we'll be watching that. I think for Qs, longer term, 22 500s, I think, would be like the super good buy type of thing and putting a lot of money to work. And so we'll just see if we can get down there. Same thing with ES, right? The 6150s, 6100s. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. It's interesting that, Dow is kind of, for like where the tariff stuff happened and where a good support level should be, which was this double top, it's this 45 250s. So I do wonder if the Dow will get there and bounce. So we'll see. Keeping an eye on that. VIX, pushing up, pulling back. Dollars showing some strength. Treasury yields, was kind of rolling over. Now we're kind of picking back up. Gold is consolidating here a bit. I have been looking for a short on it, but it's holding up pretty good. So we'll just kind of see. I'm more interested now in the NQ and ES, and just depending on what the Dow does. So that's what price looks like. I'll check pre-market on the Megatech and Mega Spy on Monday during the kind of the morning check. But that's how things look. I think going into next week, we'll see how Sunday opens for futures, but down feels like the way, at least until we get to this, at least until we see what Dow does at this point, like does it bounce here or not type of thing. So that's my read on everything. Kind of quick look on the last 7 days for the Qs. So volume has been mostly green. So if you look at the volume, it's been mostly green actually the last 7 days. Price has been everywhere. A lot of puts earlier, like 7 days ago, then kind of neutral, and then puts picked up on Thursday, and then Friday kind of, nothing crazy. So I think on the options front, like it's no real clear direction, but on the stock volume, it does, or the ETF volume, it definitely seems like there's something there. When you look at the holdings of the Q, so I can only see in the last day, green volume, lots of call premium. So I think more and more bullish on all the holdings on the queue, which is interesting, even though, it still kind of plays out on the queue itself. So that is just something to pay attention to. Feels bullish as far as what people are thinking. On the SPY, so if we remove the price, super bullish right on Friday. Look at all just the put volume went super down on the premium, right? Like they were trying, and then they're like, nope, we give up. So that's interesting, right? And I think just where the price is, we're expecting a bounce. So we'll just kind of see how that holds, and then that plays out with the holdings as well. So that is something I'm definitely keeping in mind going into next week. Definitely feels more bullish there. And then for gold, if we look at it's been bears have been trying. You can kind of see there's been more red volume days than green, but nobody's really outpacing each other that much when it comes to the options premium. And again, I don't know what the expiry is, but it's just people are putting that money to work and betting on direction. It's kind of mixed, and so at this point, I'm less interested in gold for big moves. But like, hey, if it comes, I will try to be open to it. And so that's what things look like there. I think when we look at, yeah, and so we look at all like the GEX and dark pools, lots of positive here, and also a lot of dark pools transacted here. There is some negative GEX situation right here. So maybe if price can get back to this 375 and push, maybe we push up quickly to like 376 and kind of hold around. But because there's a lot of positive GEX, it's probably more consolidation to be expected here on gold. So that's something to keep in mind. On the SPY, let's see, we have lots of dark pools, right? Just like lots of people just all around here. Negative GEX here, if we can kind of zoom in to that big negative GEX right here at the 660. So that's going to be interesting. So I'll mark that on Monday. And we'll see if we can break past that and push, or if we get there and we flush, maybe that is like a good place to keep in mind. So at 660 level, so we'll be watching that. And on the Qs here, again, nice good concentration of dark pools and all this craziness. And I guess big negative GEX levels for us. Yeah, similar to the Qs, right? Like this 590 is kind of where price closed. So really, if price can, I think, move in either direction from here. There's not really a lot more like big skews in this gex, right? And so we'll be watching, just be watching how price kind of opens on Sunday and see how we go. And so yeah, I think so. It feels like people are bullish, but price action still bearish. So maybe we'll get another surprise push back up. I mean, again, like November is meant to be a green month, so we got a few more days. I think if we were going to be green on the month, actually, let's go back to the chart really quick. And I'm just curious if we're going to be green on the month for the NQ, we would need to shit. We would need to close above 26 2682, which is like almost 2000 points. So it's interesting. This would also be, if we do close red, this will be the first red month in 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 months. So that is something to keep in mind. Yeah. So I don't know. It feels like we're kind of at an inflection point. Maybe there's some. If this is gonna be the first red day, we're not gonna go straight down for sure, right? Like even here, like red and kind of hung out, then we kind of fell over. Um, so we'll just see. We'll see how things look like on Monday. But price looks down for me, but people are betting for upside. So let's see if we can get a push back up. I would say you're not really bullish until you get over here, over this kind of top. So there's a lot of room that we can go up where I would be looking to short still. So we will see. Cool. Well, that is it for me. Good luck, and we'll be back here for the morning prep for this week. All right. Thank you.